The first thing that hit me was the smell. A damp, cold smell like something old had been trapped underground for years and finally pulled out into the air. I remember standing in my small apartment in Westfield, Indiana, staring at the black VHS tape lying on the wooden floor. It had no label, no marks, nothing. I knew it wasn't mine. I lived alone. I never kept old tapes. But there it was, as if someone had placed it there while I was sleeping. My breath felt heavy as I bent down and picked it up. The tape felt warm, like a living thing. My fingers shook a bit. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I had forgotten about it. Maybe it fell from an old box. But deep down it didn't feel like that. It felt like the tape was waiting. The air in the room turned colder. My lights flickered. My TV turned on by itself. A black screen stared back at me. I swallowed hard, placed the tape inside the player, and hit play. Static filled the room. Thick, grainy static that hummed like a swarm of insects. Then the picture cleared. A long, empty hallway appeared. White walls. Gray tiles. No windows. No sound. The camera moved slowly forward like someone was holding it and walking through the hall. I leaned closer, trying to understand what I was looking at. Then I saw it. A figure stood at the far end. Tall. Thin. Head lowered. Its body twitched like it was trying to breathe, but couldn't. The camera stopped moving. The figure slowly raised its head, and I gripped the couch in fear. It had no face. Only stretched skin where the eyes and mouth should be. My chest tightened so hard that it hurt. The figure tilted its head to the side as if it heard me watching. Then it stepped closer. The camera jerked back fast, like the person holding it was running. The hallway blurred as heavy footsteps echoed behind the camera. Something was chasing them. I felt the panic, the speed, the fear. The screen shook violently. A loud thud. A scream that cut through me. Then darkness. I sat frozen, unable to move. My apartment was dead silent. Even the sound of cars outside felt distant. The tape ended. I exhaled shakily. My hands cold. My heart beating too fast. But the tape, ejected by itself, slid out slowly and dropped to the floor. Then on the blank TV screen, words appeared. "He saw you." Before I could even blink, someone knocked on my door. 3 slow knocks. Each one louder than the last. And I knew whoever had been in that hallway was now standing right outside my apartment. The knocks didn't stop. Slow. Heavy. Measured. Like something was copying the rhythm of a heartbeat. I stood frozen in the center of my living room, staring at the door. I could see the shadow under it. Feet. Bare feet. Long toes stretched across the wooden floor outside. I stepped back quietly, trying not to make a sound. But the shadow shifted, like it sensed my movement. The cold in the room grew stronger. My breath came out as a small cloud. Whoever, or whatever, was outside knew I was inside. The knocks stopped. A low, dragging sound replaced them. Something moved across my door, scraping. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. But the moment I touched it, the phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Don't run. He hates running." My throat tightened. I put the phone down carefully. My door handle twitched like someone was testing if it was locked. I moved backwards slowly toward my bedroom. But the moment I turned, my TV came on again. This time without the tape. The hallway appeared once more. But something was different. This time, the hallway lights flickered, and the walls were covered with long scratches. And the faceless figure stood closer to the camera. I heard a click behind me. I spun around. My front door had unlocked itself. The handle turned on its own. I grabbed the nearest thing, a metal lamp, and held it tightly. The door creaked open an inch. Just an inch. Enough for freezing air to rush inside. But no one was there. The hallway outside my apartment was empty. Until something crawled into view. It was the same faceless thing from the tape. Its limbs were long and bent. Its fingers touched the floor like thin black sticks. It crawled slowly toward my open door. Its head tilted up as if smelling me. Then it stood taller, much taller than I expected. I felt the terror coil inside me. My vision blurred. My legs felt weak. Then my TV spoke in a whisper. "If you are still here, keep watching." I froze. That was the one line meant to keep the viewer from leaving. The creature at the door twitched. Then the door shut by itself, hard, forcing the creature to stay outside. Silence. But the TV showed something new. A door. My door. And the faceless creature banging on it from the hallway, matching the exact knocks I'd heard minutes earlier. My hands went numb. Because in the tape, in the bottom corner of the screen, a timestamp appeared, live feed active. Someone, or something, was recording my door in real time. And then the creature turned away from the door and looked directly into the camera, holding the feed. Then the feed cut out, and something started scratching the inside of my apartment walls. From every side. I wasn't alone anymore. The scratching continued, deep and sharp, like long nails carving through soft wood. Every wall vibrated with the sound. I backed into the center of the room, gripping the lamp so hard my fingers ached. The lights flickered, and for a moment, I thought I saw the walls pulse, slow, like they were breathing. Then a low groan came from inside the drywall. A human groan. Someone, or something, was inside the walls. I stepped backward toward the kitchen, trying to find a corner where nothing could sneak up behind me. But the smell hit first. A rotten, wet smell, as if something dead had been trapped for years. The groaning turned into whispering. Not one voice, many voices. They whispered my name. Ethan, Ethan, Ethan. I felt sick, like invisible fingers were brushing against my back. I gasped and spun around, but nothing was there. The whispering grew louder. Then a bulge formed in the wall. A head-shaped bulge pushing through the drywall. Its faceless face pressed out from the inside, stretching the surface like thin skin. I stumbled back, hitting the counter. Another bulge formed on the other wall. Then another. Then another. I was surrounded. The walls burst open. Long, gray, faceless arms reached out, clawing toward me. Their skin was thin and stretched. Veins pulsed underneath. I screamed and swung the lamp wildly. It hit one of the arms, and the light flickered in my hand. The creature recoiled slightly, but dozens more reached out behind it. The whispering grew louder, overlapping voices screaming my name. I froze in fear as one creature crawled halfway out of the broken wall. Its head lowered, twitching. Its arms snapped into place like broken bones clicking together. Then my phone buzzed on the counter beside me. A new message: stop fighting. The tape chose you. My hands trembled as I stared at the message. Chose me? For what? The creatures crept closer. Their bodies moved in a jerking, unnatural rhythm. Their fingers curled like claws. The TV turned on again. This time, the person holding the camera was running through the same hallway, but now the walls were covered in faces. Dozens of faceless heads pressed out from the sides. Long arms dragged across the ground. The camera jerked violently. Then the figure holding it fell. The faceless creatures surrounded the lens. Their heads tilted left and right like hungry animals sniffing prey. Then one of them looked directly into the camera and whispered in a low, breathy voice, "He is watching." My TV shut off. Every creature in the walls froze. Then they all turned their heads toward me at the same time. Their bodies crawled out of the walls completely, and the lights in my apartment went black. When the lights went out, I felt the darkness wrap around me like a heavy blanket. I stumbled backward, trying to find something to hold. The floor felt colder than before, almost wet. My heart pounded as I reached for the counter, but my fingers touched nothing. The room felt wrong, like it had shifted into a different shape. A faint sound echoed through the darkness. A slow tapping, coming from somewhere below the floor. I tried my phone, but the screen stayed black. The creatures had vanished. The whispering had stopped. The scratching in the walls was gone. The silence itself felt alive. Then a humming noise started. Low, deep, from under my feet. A trapdoor I never knew existed slid open in the center of the living room floor. A cold burst of air hit my face. The smell was thick, like mold and old water. I leaned forward and looked down. There were wooden steps leading into a dark basement I had never seen before. I had lived here for 3 years. There was no basement, but the trapdoor waited like a mouth. A single dim light flickered below. I didn't want to go down there, but staying in the apartment felt worse. Something was pushing me from behind. Not physically, but inside my head. A pressure, a pull, like someone whispering that the answers were below. I took a deep breath and climbed down the stairs. The temperature dropped sharply. My breath came out in small clouds. As I reached the bottom, the light above flickered again. The room was empty. Stone floor, wet walls. A single wooden table stood in the middle, and on that table was another VHS tape. This one had words carved into the plastic. Play me if you want to live. My hands shook as I picked it up. The moment my fingers touched it, the basement door slammed shut above me. The light flickered violently. The smell grew stronger. I turned toward a small, old TV sitting in the corner. It shouldn't have been there. There was no power outlet, no cables, but it was on. The screen was bright, waiting. I pushed the tape into the player and stepped back. The tape started with a static burst. Then a man appeared on the screen. He was sitting in a dark room. His eyes were wide. Blood ran down his nose. His shirt was torn. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He leaned close to the camera and whispered, trembling, "If you found this tape, then it already knows you. It is already in your walls, your room, your head." My heart stopped. The man looked behind him and screamed at something off-screen. His scream was raw, desperate. He clawed at the walls like he was trying to escape. Something pulled him back, and he disappeared from view. A shadow stretched across the screen. Then the tape ended. The TV turned off by itself. Something moved behind me. When I turned around, there were footprints forming on the wet floor, one by one, coming toward me, but no one was there. The footsteps stopped 1 inch from my shoes, and something cold breathed against my neck that I couldn't breathe. The cold breath on my neck felt sharp, like winter air pressed against bare skin. I spun around fast, but nothing stood behind me. The basement was empty. Still, too still. The air felt thick and heavy, almost like it wanted to crawl into my lungs. The old TV flickered on again, even though the tape was out. The same man appeared, but this time he wasn't sitting. He was being dragged by something in the dark behind him. His nails scraped hard against the floor. He screamed my name. "Ethan, help me, please. He is coming behind you." I froze. I couldn't move. My hands turned cold and numb. The man's body jerked violently on the screen. His face twisted into a mask of terror. I stepped back slowly, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The man reached toward the camera and whispered again, voice shaking, "If you see the hallway, run before it opens." The screen glitched. Lines shot across it. A loud buzzing filled the room. Then the camera showed something new. The hallway again. But this time, the camera wasn't moving. It was facing the corner where the walls met. A crack slowly split open from the floor to the ceiling. Something pushed from the inside. Thin fingers, long pale, scraping, forcing their way out. The crack widened. A face pressed through it. Faceless, skin stretched tight. I ran to the basement stairs and grabbed the doorknob. It wouldn't turn. I pulled hard, but the lock didn't move. Something slammed against the trapdoor above like a hand pushing it down. The whole basement shook. A deep voice whispered my name, not from the TV, but from behind the stone walls. A long, slow voice. "Ethan, come back down here." I didn't want to look, but the air grew colder, pushing me to turn. I forced myself around. The crack in the wall had opened enough for something to step out. Long legs, bent knees, arms dragging on the wet floor, head lowered. The skin on its neck peeled and stretched like melted wax. It walked toward me with a slow, broken movement, like every bone in its body was cracked. My breath hitched. I backed up the steps, kicking at the door, punching it, begging it to open. The creature reached the bottom step. It lifted its head. No face, only skin, smooth and empty. It raised its long hand toward me. The TV flashed again. The man appeared one last time. "You cannot escape the tape, not unless someone else watches it." The creature twitched, inches from my legs. I screamed and kicked down at it. My foot hit its arm. It snapped like dry wood, but it didn't react. It kept climbing. Suddenly, the trapdoor above clicked. Something unlocked it. I pushed hard and burst out of the basement. The trapdoor slammed behind me. I fell to the floor, shaking, gasping. Then I heard it, scratching, coming from under the trapdoor. It was trying to come up, and the tape was lying beside me again, waiting. I crawled away from the trapdoor, keeping my eyes locked on it. The scratching grew louder, faster, more desperate. The wood bent upward, like something powerful was pushing from below. I grabbed the tape and backed into the kitchen, my hands trembling. A crack formed in the trapdoor, just a small one. Enough for cold air to escape. Enough for a pale finger to poke through and curl around the wood. I ran to the front door and twisted the lock. It didn't turn. The metal felt warm, almost soft, like it was melting under my hand. I stepped back, fear burning my throat. My phone buzzed again on the floor. A single message, "Don't let it see you." I didn't know how. It had no eyes. But something deep inside told me that message was right. I crawled behind the couch, staying as low as possible. The trapdoor burst open behind me with a loud crack. Wood splintered across the floor. I covered my mouth, trying not to make a sound. The thing climbed out. Its limbs stretched in impossible ways, bending and snapping. Its head hung to one side. Its skin looked wet, dripping, leaving dark streaks on the floor. Every step made a soft click, like bones tapping stone. It moved slowly, sniffing the air without a face. Looking for me. My heart hammered so loud I feared it would hear the sound. I held my breath until my chest hurt. The creature scraped its fingers across the walls, dragging long marks in the paint. It paused near the couch. My whole body tensed. Then it leaned down. Its head stopped inches above me. I could feel the cold rising from its skin. It tilted its head, listening. I closed my eyes, praying it wouldn't hear the shaking in my breath. Then a loud, sharp noise came from the kitchen. The creature snapped its head toward it and crawled fast across the floor. Its limbs bent backward as it moved. It reached the counter and stopped. My TV turned on again. No tape, no input. The hallway was back. But this time, the camera faced a mirror at the end of the hall. A long, tall mirror. And in the mirror, the faceless creatures stood behind the cameraman. Dozens of them, moving slowly, reaching toward him. He didn't notice. But then something made my blood freeze. Behind the creatures, in the deep reflection of the mirror, I saw my own apartment. My own walls. My couch. My kitchen. And behind my couch, I saw myself hiding. The cameraman whispered something. He finds everyone. The TV shut off. The creature turned its head sharply toward the couch again. It had seen me. It crawled back, its fingers leaving scratches on the floor. It pulled itself toward me, slow but certain. I backed up, my spine hitting the wall. The creature reached out and touched my knee with its cold hand. Then everything in the room went silent, and my bedroom door opened by itself. The creature's cold hand gripped my knee, and I couldn't breathe. I pushed myself back against the wall, trying to slip away, but its long fingers tightened. My whole leg went numb. Its head lifted slowly, like something heavy was pulling on its neck. The skin stretched and cracked as it moved. Then my bedroom door swung open wider, and warm yellow light spilled into the living room. It was strange. My bedroom had never had warm lighting, only cold white bulbs. But inside the doorway was a soft glow, almost inviting. The creature turned its head toward the room. It released my knee, stood tall, and crawled toward the light like a moth drawn toward heat. Its body twitched as it entered the bedroom. Something wasn't right. I crawled to the doorway and peeked inside. My breath caught instantly. It wasn't my bedroom. The walls were wrong. The bed was wrong. Even the window was larger. Too large. The room looked like an old motel room. The wallpaper was faded. The air smelled of dust and something metallic. I stepped inside slowly, my legs shaking. A small TV sat on a wooden table at the end of the room. Another VHS tape was on the bed. This one had a label. Return. My chest tightened. I walked closer to the TV. A cable ran behind it, disappearing into a dark corner. The creature stood silently at the far end of the room, staring at the wall. Its back rose and fell sharply, like it was breathing too fast. I ignored it and picked up the tape. The moment I touched it, the motel room door slammed shut behind me. I dropped the tape and tried the knob, but it wouldn't move. The lights flickered. The walls shook. A loud buzzing filled the room. The tape slid across the floor by itself, stopping at my feet. I picked it up again. My hands trembled as I placed it into the TV. The screen turned white first, so bright I had to squint. Then an image appeared. The same motel room, but empty. Then the image changed. Now the camera was pointing at the motel window. Outside, I could see a road sign. I leaned closer. My heart dropped. U.S. Route 36 Pendleton, Indiana. This was a real location. I had driven past that highway many times. My hands began to shake. Then the screen showed something else. A man standing in the center of the motel room. Not the man from the earlier tape. This man was me. He stared at the camera with tired eyes. His shoulders were shaking. He whispered in a dry, broken voice. You should not have watched the first tape. The lights flickered again. Something heavy moved behind me. I turned slowly. The creature wasn't in the corner anymore. It was standing directly behind me, glistening in the dim yellow light. It leaned close to my ear and whispered with a voice I recognized. My own voice. The last tape is yours. My body froze. Hearing my own voice come out of that thing felt like my soul slipped out of my skin. I stumbled backward, my legs weak. The creature's head tilted, mimicking my movements, like it was learning how to be me. The TV flashed again. The version of me inside the tape stepped closer to the lens. His eyes were red. His skin looked cracked, pale, almost faded. He raised his hand toward the screen as if touching me through the glass. Ethan, listen, he whispered. The tape does not show the past. It shows what will happen to you, to anyone who watches it. You cannot destroy it. You cannot hide it. You can only pass it forward. The room trembled. The walls rippled like liquid. The light bulbs flickered. The creature walked toward me, slow and steady, copying my posture exactly. When I moved my left foot, it moved its left foot. When I breathed, it breathed. It was becoming me. I turned toward the motel door and pulled with all my strength. The knob burned my hand like hot metal. A scream tore from my throat. The creature reached me and pressed its cold hand against the back of my neck. My vision blurred. The TV changed again. Now the screen showed two versions of me, the one inside the tape and the creature standing behind me. They both stared directly into the lens. The taped version whispered, "This is how the tape finds its next owner." My chest tightened. I backed away from the creature, but it moved faster than before, almost perfect, almost human. It grabbed my shoulder and dug its fingers into my skin. I cried out. It pulled me toward the TV. The reflection in the TV glass changed. Now I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at the creature, and it was smiling with my face. I pushed back with all my strength. The creature stumbled, its limbs snapping and twisting. I dashed toward the motel window. The glass rattled under my hands. I hit it hard. Once, twice, a third time. The glass cracked, spreading like a spider web. The TV spoke again in my voice. "Someone must watch what you watched." A loud crack shot through the room. The window shattered outward. Cold night air burst in. I climbed through the broken frame, cutting my arms on the glass. The road below was dark and empty. The sound of trucks on Route 36 echoed faintly in the distance. I jumped. The ground hit hard. Pain shot up my legs. I got up and ran. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't care. I ran until my lungs burned. I ran until the motel vanished behind the trees. Only then did I look back. Something stood in the broken motel window. Tall, faceless, slow, watching me. I collapsed near an old wooden sign marking the edge of Pendleton. My breath came sharp and painful. I reached into my pocket for my phone. But something else was inside. A VHS tape. Warm. With a fresh label. "Your turn." My hands shook violently. I dropped it on the ground and stepped back. My phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "Someone must see it. Or it comes for you." Far down the quiet road, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, coming closer. And I finally understood the real ending. No one survives unless they pass the tape forward. And I had no one left to give it to. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.